Alcaraz and Sinner might not even show up to their own US Open. 5 days. That's how long until the season's last Grand Slam begins. And right now, neither of them is confirmed. No draw entry, no mixed doubles spot, no word from either camp that they're even coming to defend what they built together. This has never happened before. Not to these two, not at this stage of a slam. And in the last 24 hours, one of the most respected coaches in tennis said something on camera that nobody wanted to hear out loud. Watch till the end, because what happens in the next 5 days could decide whether the biggest rivalry in tennis goes silent at the exact moment it mattered most. Let's rewind for a second, because you need to understand what's at risk here. Alcaraz and Sinner haven't just been good rivals, they've been the rivalry. 4 Grand Slam finals in the last 2 years, 5 finals overall in a single season, 2 wins apiece in the biggest matches in the sport. When Alcaraz lifted the trophy in New York last September, he turned to Sinner mid-speech and joked, "I'm seeing you more than my family." That's how close and how constant this rivalry has been. Now, almost total silence. No matches against each other since April. And with the US Open bearing down, both of their spots in the draw, let alone a potential final rematch, are genuinely in doubt. Here's how we got here. And trust me, the part with the mixed doubles list is the detail nobody's talking about yet. It starts back in April, at the Barcelona Open. Alcaraz had just come off a tough loss to Sinner in the Monte Carlo Masters final, still their only official meeting of the entire 2026 season. Days later in Barcelona, he won his opening match in straight sets. Job done, right? Not quite. During that match, Alcaraz picked up discomfort in his wrist. At first, it didn't sound like a big deal. The initial read from his camp was that there was little reason for concern. A knock, nothing more. The kind of thing you play through. But here's the problem. That nothing to worry about line, it was about to age very badly. But then the follow-up scans came back. Further assessment in the days after Barcelona told a very different story. This wasn't a minor knock. It was more serious than anyone initially let on. And once that became clear, everything changed fast. Alcaraz withdrew from the rest of the clay court season entirely. That absence didn't stop there. It rolled straight into the grass court swing too. No Madrid, no French Open, where he was the defending champion. No Wimbledon. Think about that for a second. A player who had reached back-to-back major finals suddenly vanished from the 2 biggest clay and grass events of the year because of a wrist injury that started out as nothing to worry about. And it still wasn't over. Here's where it gets more concerning. Heading into the US Open hard court swing, the exact stretch of the season where players usually sharpen their form before Flushing Meadows, Alcaraz pulled out of both Masters 1000 tune-up events. Montreal, gone. Cincinnati, gone. That's the 2nd consecutive year he's skipped that stretch of tournaments while managing this same wrist. And it raises a real question. If he does show up in New York, how much match fitness will he actually have? Best of 5 tennis is a completely different physical demand than best of 3, and he'd be walking into it close to blind. And while all this was happening to Alcaraz, the player everyone assumed was completely safe was quietly developing a problem of his own. While all of this was unfolding with Alcaraz, most people assumed Sinner was the safe bet. He'd been dominant in 2026, a 5th Grand Slam title at Wimbledon, 5 Masters 1000 wins on the season. The picture of consistency. Then, right as he was gearing up for the hard court swing, a new issue appeared. Discomfort in his right knee. It forced him out of Cincinnati too, the same tournament Alcaraz had already skipped. Suddenly, the 2 players everyone expected to headline this US Open were both missing from the exact same event, for 2 completely different physical reasons. Coincidence? Maybe. But what happened next is where things get genuinely hard to predict. So where does that leave things right now? Today, August 18th? Sinner has been rehabbing at J Medical in Turin, the same facility he's used throughout his career for recovery work. According to reports out of Italy, he trained indoors at a Turin sporting club yesterday, working through his recovery away from the cameras. He's set to undergo further evaluation at J Medical today. This is happening right now, as this video goes up, and by most accounts, his participation in New York will come down to one simple test. Is he fully fit, or isn't he? No games, no half measures, full fitness, or he doesn't go. So that's Sinner's side of the story. But Alcaraz's update this week is where things take an actual turn, for better or worse, depending on how you read it. On Alcaraz's side, there's actually something more promising to show for once. He's now entering the 5th month of his recovery, and the training intensity has visibly ramped up. Just yesterday, he was spotted working out in Murcia alongside fellow 23-year-old Holger Rune, who, for context, has been out himself since October with a ruptured Achilles. Reports from the ground described a 3-hour session in brutal heat, with one reporter calling it a genuine test of where Alcaraz's body is actually at. That's a real signal. 3 hours is not a rehab jog. That's a player pushing to find out if his wrist holds up under real load. But training hard and tournament ready are two very different things. And that's exactly where the uncertainty picks back up. Because just when it looked like there was real reason for optimism, someone very close to the sport came out and said the quiet part loud. This is where it stops being just speculation from fans and starts getting real validation from people inside the sport. Patrick Mouratoglou, the coach who guided Serena Williams to multiple Grand Slam titles, didn't hold back when asked directly about this US Open. He said flatly, "Am I worried for Alcaraz and Sinner for this US Open? Yes, I am." He broke it down further. For Alcaraz, the concern is simple. This is an enormous stretch of time without any competitive match play heading into a Grand Slam. For Sinner, Mouratoglou was a little more measured, pointing out that Sinner has actually done this before, arriving at a major with almost no match play and still winning it, like he did at Wimbledon. But he also flagged the pressure factor. At a Grand Slam with a knee issue in the background, Sinner is going to need to be efficient, win fast, spend as little time on court as possible, and avoid grinding through 5-setters if he can help it. And then he laid out the actual criteria that will decide whether either of them even steps on the court in New York. No added risk of making the injury worse. Physically ready to compete. And the tennis level has to actually be there. If all 3 of those boxes are checked, they play. If even one isn't, they probably don't. Former world number 1. Andy Roddick added his own read on the situation, pointing out just how little information Sinner's camp has actually shared about the knee issue, which, according to Roddick, is exactly in character for how private Sinner tends to be about anything physical. But here's the detail that might matter more than anything Mouratoglou or Roddick said, because it's not an opinion. It's a fact the tournament itself just put on paper. And here's the part that makes this whole situation impossible to ignore. The US Open itself just added fuel to the fire. This week's mixed doubles announcement revealed a wave of new team entries, reigning champions, Grand Slam winners, top singles stars pairing up with doubles specialists. Big names like Novak Djokovic, Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Alexander Zverev, and Taylor Fritz are already locked into the field. Alcaraz and Sinner? Nowhere on that list. Neither is Serena or Venus Williams, for what it's worth. There was real chatter about a dream scenario where Alcaraz and Sinner could have partnered with the Williams sisters in mixed doubles. That storyline is still technically alive since travel plans haven't been confirmed either way. But with each passing announcement that doesn't include their names, it's getting harder to see it actually happening. Spots in the mixed doubles field are still open. The door hasn't been closed. But every day that passes without their names on it says something. And that something gets a lot bigger once you actually look at the numbers involved. Let's put this in perspective with the numbers, because this isn't just about pride. Alcaraz is the defending champion. He's got 2,000 ranking points to protect from last year's win. Sinner, as runner-up, is defending 1,300. If either of them skips New York entirely, and singles play starts in just 5 days, that's not just a missed tournament. That's a massive point swing in the rankings race, right as the season heads into its final stretch. And there's something even bigger sitting underneath all of this for Sinner specifically. This US Open might be his best, maybe his last, realistic shot at winning a major without having to go through a fully healthy Alcaraz to do it. So with all of that on the table, the points, the legacy, the rivalry itself, what actually happens next? So where does that leave us, 5 days out from the first ball being struck? Sinner's fitness test at J Medical is happening today, the result of which could decide everything before the week is even out. Alcaraz just logged his most serious training session in months. But months without a single competitive match is still months without a single competitive match. Muratoglu's own words might be the most accurate summary of where things stand right now. No added risk, full physical readiness, and the level has to be there. Hit all three, and we get the rematch everyone's been waiting for. Miss even one, and the biggest stage in tennis might open without its two biggest stars on it. Either way, we're about to find out. And you're going to want to be here when it happens.